Hi, this is Dennis Steigerwalt with the Housing Innovation Alliance, and you're dialed into our LinkedIn live stream. I'm joined today by the team from HercuTech to talk about the Hercuwall Advanced Building System. Before I introduce the team, I also want to let you know we have a special guest with us today who we'll get to shortly. So I want to introduce Jason Reeves, CEO of HercuTech. We have Ken Ritzman, COO of HercuTech, and Greg Garrison, VP of Construction. Also with us, Mike Mancini, President of SoDella Construction, who's going to be giving us an overview of their partnership with the HercuTech Group. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Dennis. How you doing?
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to say thanks to you guys for being a part of this conversation today. There's a couple things that are really interesting to me about what we're going to do here, and actually very meaningful to me. So we all first met about 2 years ago now. It was April 2019. The Alliance was conducting an event in Phoenix, and we had a chance to tour the original factory and a site with Mike Mancini and Greg Garrison. So for me, that was right before I officially started working with the Housing Innovation Alliance. I was visiting, attending the event, getting to meet and network with the community. So for me, this is, it's been almost 2 years now that I'm with the team. It's been exciting to see what we've been able to achieve. And I have to say, the partnership that I experienced with your group and the trades and the base of how you're trying to bring a new system to the market was one of the reasons that incentivized me to move forward with the Alliance. Seeing these kind of innovations take place, or the action that was happening in the field there was really exciting. And the other side of this that's exciting is we get to now see what's happened 2 years later. It's kind of a reboot of that original tour, get to meet some more of your team and learn how things are kind of unfolding for you. So again, really appreciate everyone joining us. And I know, Mike, you're going to be pulling out here shortly for a little bit, but we'll be excited to get you back in for some Q&A later on.
Sounds great.
All right, excellent. I gave that brief overview. Jason, if you wouldn't mind, can you take us, for the members of our community or for our audience that are not familiar with the Hercuwall system, can you just take us into it and give us a quick overview?
Absolutely. So yeah, excited to talk to you about the progress that's been made over the last 2 years. And then again, for those of you that may not be as familiar with Hercuwall, dive right into it. But it's an honor to be here today, Dennis, and appreciate the invite and the opportunity to do this. So first of all, with HercuTech, let me talk quick about our core values. And that's one is innovate, two is accelerate, three simplify, and four inspire. And you'll hear more and more about that throughout the course of the next hour when you talk about our manufacturing capabilities, our training facilities, and how we go about with our go-to-market. But in summary, man, what we do is we're a panelized exterior and demising wall system that eliminates costly and time-consuming steps. We deliver an R31 insulated wall value to your site. This achieves up to about 40% energy savings while providing superior strength and comfort. Hercuwall replaces about 60% of the wood used on any particular project. It's manufactured with EPS foam, steel, polyester film, and followed up with a site integrated concrete. Everything's fabricated off-site, delivered at the job site, ready to assemble. And then our digitized assembly line process that you'll hear more about, again, replaces the guesswork and rework of stick with plant precision, rapid and repeatable execution, simplified and safer handling. So how we do this is we have, through our valued engineering processes, we consult with you to utilize Hercuwall on your project. Through digitization, we have a proprietary software that converts your plans into a Hercuwall panels, manufactured, precisely sized, cut, and assembled panels in the factory. Delivered to your project, everything is numbered, easy to install, and then it's delivered to your site in order and ready to pick up, ready to install. So pretty simple process, simple by design. You'll continue to hear that theme throughout the course of the next hour. And then let me just talk to you a little bit about some of the progress that's been made over the last 2 years, Dennis. And there's been a lot of it, but since we last talked, product development and national certifications. We've got our ICC approvals, our QAI report approvals, Florida, Miami-Dade high velocity hurricane ratings, 1 and 2 hour rated assemblies, our lab tested STC assemblies, or fire rated STC assemblies. Numerous product and process patents have been secured. U.S. and international patents have been secured. And then a company rebrand that's taking place. So those of you may see new logos, new colors, schemes from the last time that you were introduced to Hercuwall. From a commercial side of it, we've completed over about 300 units in the last couple of years. We've got over 6,000 units that are in design right now with Hercuwall that will all be going vertical over the next 18 to 24 months. Extremely large pipeline and diversity of product, anywhere from the build-to-rent product to assisted living, charter schools, climate-controlled warehouses, the hospitality space, and student housing. And then, as you'll see in some videos coming up, we just moved into a new facility in February of this year, 60,000 square foot under roof. We got multiple manufacturing lines, state-of-the-art training facility to build out our ecosystem. So we're excited to start to showcase this for you.
You don't have to
go. All right. Well, thanks, Jason. We'll dig into the video here and get an overview of what, get a little bit more context about the system, so we can get into that Q&A with the rest of the team.
Too far to see the name Hercules in the brand. It's not really just the strength of the product, because we know it's strong, but it's the strength of our relationships. It's the integration of the entire system and how we work together as a team. It's not what we say it is as a brand, but it's really what our customers, what the ecosystem says, and how we work together.
My name is Steve Coburn, and I'm the design supervisor here at HercuTech. And I am the go-between estimating and our operations team and the manufacturing team. Well, here at HercuTech in the drafting department, we get a client's plans through PDF, through Revit and our proprietary software that we have. It allows us to quickly analyze that plan and then place in a panel structure. And the panel structure pretty much looks like a block plan that we then go in and start designing around the structures. So this plan, as you can see, it has an element of steel structure. So we got that information from the structural drafting team. And we do this with mechanical, plumbing, electrical, even architectural elements that are required for our Hercuwall system to support. So what we do is we go in and analyze this, and we can quickly lay this out, and then it gives us more of a in-depth measure of how these systems are going to be working together. For this 2D plan, you can see that we have multiple levels, and it's a very large residential home. With the structural elements in there, we can then go in and make sure that this panel is going to support that structure. We then go into a manufactured drawing creation process, which takes each panel, pulls in its specified materials that are required to manufacture that panel. It also gives our plant crew in each station a drawing that says, hey, this is how this panel looks. Along with that sheet, it gets a number. And as you can see in this plan view, each panel has a specified number so that by the time we get to the manufacturing floor, things are very easily relatable to that panel. And on the site, our installation crew can go find that panel and then make sure that it's in the right location in the plan view. We produce a CNC file that goes out to our hot wire cutting machines using the G code, and they're able to cut these panels as is per this plan. And once that happens, they cut it, they put it together, and then they palletize it. And then we work with them to try to figure out where those pallets go, how big, how tall, how heavy, and then we send it out the plant.
Hi, welcome to Hercuwall. This is our Tempe, Arizona manufacturing facility. It's about 60,000 square feet of space under roof, as well as few yard spaces to allow us to house all our raw material, and as well as finished goods. We have a simplified workflow that we follow here at HercuTech that allows us to ensure accuracies and efficiencies, as well as a quality controlled and approved manufactured product that we then deliver to the field. Our panels are kitted for the customer and allow the customer to easily assemble their unit once it's received on the field. Our quality control program allows us to monitor our production processes from start to finish, as well as allows us to ensure all products that are received on the field are up to Hercuwall standards.
Yeah, well, thanks to the HercuTech team and for sharing that video on your new facility. Now, Ken, I know that there's some additional information here you want to share with us about the manufacturing process and the materials that are being used throughout the engineering of this wall. Want to take us on that journey?
Ken, can you unmute yourself? There we go.
First error of Zoom calling. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah.
I had myself on mute. So what you've been watching is a video of the Phoenix manufacturing facility, which is about 60,000 square feet, which allows us to manufacture over 6 million square feet of Hercuwall per year. The facility setup and equipment is around $1.5 million. Depending on our desired output, we can set up a facility in a market for around $750,000. This allows us to cost effectively expand into other markets.
All right.
Yeah, we can just keep it going.
Yeah, we can just keep going right on through as the conversation rolls to the video. Go for it, man.
So what you're going to see here in a little bit is our 3-billet hot wire cutting machine. That's our laminate right there. So a 3-billet hot wire cutting machine. What you're seeing right now is we've got 479 days of with error-free work. And right there's Carlos. He's operating our 3-billet hot wire cutting machine. DPS billets are being staged for cutting. Carlos, here in a moment, he's going to scan a barcode from the manufacturing drawings, then clicks on the start button, and the 300-degree hot wire machine cuts the EPS billets into Hercuwall panels. The panel then goes to the laminator, which applies a weather-resistant barrier to the exterior of the panel. The laminate eliminates the need for weather-resistant paper products to be applied on the job site. The laminate we use is similar to the laminate used on stucco backer board, but is 3 times thicker. The panel then goes to another hot wire CNC machine. This machine uses a barcode program cutting the top and bottom beams to the exact width and depth required for the project. It uses hydraulics to hold the panel in place, which ensures precision cuts. Then the panel goes to our assembly station. This is where our proprietary technology, our secret sauce, the shear strip, is inserted into the panel. And finally, it goes to quality control. That's Jason, our quality control inspector. After the final inspection, an ICC ESR sticker is placed on the panel, representing that it's defective free. In addition to our internal control process, a third-party certification lab such as ICC and QAI conduct inspections of our manufacturing process. So Dennis, one of the things you might have noticed as part of Hercuwall is we have a significant amount of metal parts that's used in our manufacturing process. One of the things that's unique is we actually buy our metal parts directly from the steel mill. And the reason why that we do that is it allows us to do actually 2 different things. One, it ensures that our supply chain, our roll formers and our press breakers are going to actually have steel to make our metal parts, which is essential in this type of a marketplace. But also 2 is it allows us to provide our customers with a Hercuwall price lock on the project. So I know that's unheard of, but we're providing our customers a price lock. So throughout the life of the project, the price doesn't change. So one of the things we ask from our customers for us offering them that price lock is they give us a 40% advanced project payment. And so far, that's been very successful for us and for our customers. One of the other things you might have noticed in our facility is that there's very little waste. So any waste such as EPS and steel is all recycled. So the recycled EPS is made into items such as a picture frame. So literally the only waste in our facility is a little bit from our weather-resistant barrier and then actually lunch waste, and that's it. So one of the things that we do here at HercuTech is we hire the best and brightest for our backroom office, as well as our manufacturing facility, to ensure that we deliver it right the first time, every time. So for our employees, we provide a clean, environmentally friendly workplace, pay competitive wages with excellent benefit packages. And here we're getting to the punchline. Yes, we are hiring. That's why I wanted to go through all that.
All right.
So as we're growing, we definitely are looking for people that are looking to work for an exciting, growing company.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, Ken. And thanks for taking us through that. I mean, what's interesting is you see just how clean that manufacturing environment is. And
Yep.
To your point, you've really looked at innovation. I like the idea of not only looking at how you reduce the waste in the process and recycle, but it's also in the financial model that you described, because it's all about risk sharing, right? If we can share the risk, we can mitigate that risk, and then we can understand actually how to squeeze every little bit of juice out of the orange, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So, one of the things is we want to make the process simple, but we also want to make it predictable. So on the job site, we want to make sure that our customer can rely on Hercuwall being delivered timely and defective free every single time.
Now, given your current operating model, have the kinks in the existing supply chain affected your business at all, or are you what kind of forecast do you have on how it will impact you over the rest of the year?
So one of the things that we do with our forecasting is the beauty of it is that we're working primarily on projects, which means that we know 3 to 4 months, maybe even 6 months in advance before the first Hercuwalls are going to go vertical. So we're able to line up our supply chain to meet those demands. So part of that is ordering from the mill. One of the other things we have that's a primary product is EPS. And in every large marketplace, there's multiple EPS suppliers. So here, for example, here in Phoenix, we have relationships with 2 that have the capacity to deliver all of the demand that we need.
Okay, excellent. Well, you know what I want to do, Ken? I want to bring back Jason and Greg, and then I think what we should do is open this up to a broader Q&A. We're going to start out with a question that's aimed right towards something that you just delivered to us. Grib from within the audience here wants to know how construction lenders have gotten comfortable with the 40% deposit. I don't know,
Ken, you want to take that?
Yeah. So I think part of it is understanding why that 40% deposit is important. So, one of the things that tested my heart was just before Christmas, one of our vendors called up and said, I'm unable to get any material on the open market. And we're closed for the rest of the Christmas holiday, and I'll be back after the first of the year. Talk to you later. and so once that occurred, I realized we needed to change our supply chain process. And then when you explain that to our customers, the last thing they want is a break in the construction process. That costs everybody time and money. So when they realize that you're going to provide a product without any breaks in the supply chain process, which creates the predictability they want, which eventually means the timing of their project completed when they expect it to be, actually saves them money. So by incurring a deposit up front, in the long run, it's going to save them more money, if not make them money.
Okay. So is that an education process that you go on not only with the project owner, but also the project owner's lenders?
The project owner, yes, we're also communicating with the lenders through the owners, and then also educating the general contractors as to why it's necessary as well.
Okay, great. Let's see here. We got another question. Unless anybody else like to add to that, we have a couple other questions coming through the queue here. What home builders are using your product, and what states are you currently operating in? Maybe Greg, if you want to take this one.
Yeah, so currently we have several existing customers. They're more of the developers than traditional home builders. Again, we're looking at project-based projects, so that we could have efficiencies across the board with our installation processes. Being a panelized product, we definitely drill down beyond the standard production builder paradigm of a day is a day for scheduling, where we take advantage of every hour. And when we bring Mike back into the conversation, he'll be able to attest to that.
Yeah, I think Dennis, that it's one thing that's changed even from your guys' first visit out here a couple of years ago. Is at that time, I think the business model was more with production home builders at that time, and there's been a shift in that through HercuTech, and it's really, as Greg mentioned in there, it's really going after big repeatable plans with the batch build methodology to recognize the value proposition with Hercuwall throughout that entire stream.
All right, excellent. Yeah, when we bring Mike back in, I'll be curious to dig into some conversation around the opportunity that exists with the build for rent segment of the market as well. Sticking to kind of as we roll out of some of the design and the manufacturing process, kind of curious. Eric Holt here from the University of Denver is asking, how are the MEP systems integrated into your system?
That's a great question. It's done at the design time of the mechanical. So Hercuwall provides an airtight assembly as well as a high R wall system. So it's making sure that the building's modeled correctly. And what we did is we created a white paper with a group called Resource Refocus out of Silicon Valley. and they gave direction on how to enter Hercuwall into that building modeling system. We know today there isn't a drop-down menu for Hercuwall. There will be soon, but we wanted to bridge that gap. And then as far as your wiring and your plumbing pipe, we have a couple features on the shear strip itself. We have a 7/8 inch hole that repeats every 3 inches vertically along the shear strip. And that allows for that horizontal material or horizontal conductor to easily go through our wall system. So we gave them a roadway, but we also gave them a map. If you can see on the surface of the shear strip, every 3 inches, there's an arrow. So the installer knows where those holes are when this is embedded into the EPS stay in place formwork.
Okay, excellent. Thought that one through. I like it. Another question we have coming through here from Anthony Gazzolia from Ibicus. What is the time savings versus conventional framing? So the big savings today is the man-hour reduction. Mm-hmm. So we eliminate about 2/3 of the framing labor for the Hercuwall system. And so we operate on the same timelines, and you save days downstream from your saved inspection points. Depending upon the municipality you're in, you could save anywhere between 3 and 5 inspections.
I'd also, when we get to that, I think Mike will be able to answer that question from the GC and installer point of view. But I think it's, I think it's safe to say there's months of saving downstream with that when planned accordingly with every project.
Yeah, there's absolutely an opportunity to revisit project sequencing to ensure that you have that speed to income.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And we definitely want to bring these back up when we get Mike back on the line. Let's talk a little bit more about, where's your sweet spot? What building typologies are a best fit? I know, Jason, you listed a number of different segments that you participate in. Kind of curious, where is that sweet spot? And then, maybe even further down that, are there specific climate zones where you're going to win out?
Yeah. So again, the sweet spot for us, as we've seen, is it's that repeatable plan. It's that batch build methodology. That build to rent space is obviously, extremely attractive, and I think that's why we've been gaining so much traction in that space. But again, assisted livings, we've got the hotels, hospitality space, memory care, even some warehouse, charter schools that fill up our pipeline. From a capability standpoint, we can build up to 5 stories. The heights of our walls for right now go up to 12 feet high. There's no limitations in climate zones. We've tested that out. So there's no restrictions. There's only solutions when it comes to each market.
All right. Excellent. Very helpful. Let's see here. We have another one. Is there a load limitation?
Great question.
That's a great question. There's, with all products, you have a listed capacity. We have a 3-time safety factor as well. So if you look at our code reports, depending upon the wall configuration, it gives you listed load tables that the engineers can prescriptively design to.
Okay. All right. Great. And then I think we have time for 1 or 2 more in this section. And then we'll get into this, I know, when we talk more about bring Mike back into the conversation, but let's hit on it a little bit now. Do you have preferred installers for locations? And if not, what's the training platform for installers? Traditional framing usually pays piecework. Is this treated differently? And you know what? Maybe what we do is let's hold on to that. Let's bring Mike right back in. And let's use that as a segue to get into the case study on the partnership you've developed with SoDella Construction and the delivery model you have with his team. And I know there's a couple of other topics we'll get into as well at that point. All right, so Mike's back with us. Welcome back, Mike.
Hey, guys.
Not sure if you had a chance to hear that question or not, so I'm going to repeat it. But we're using this as an opportunity to kind of make the segue over to, kind of really talking about a case study. What are some of the obstacles to adoption? What's going on with training? What's that partnership model look like between Hercuwall and SoDella Construction and your trade base? So let's start with Shane's question here first. Do you have a preferred installers for locations? And if not, what's the training platform for those installers? So let the HercuTech team start that first, and then speak to maybe Mike from your side.
Perfect. So we created the HercuFit program, and the whole purpose of the HercuFit program is to arm each individual with the knowledge they need to be successful when integrating Hercuwall. So that goes from top to bottom, whether it's the funder and Ken and his team working with them to understand that down payment and how they can protect their pro forma, as well as the developer. We've got the architects and engineers that we have to make aware of the differences with Hercuwall. So we give them load tables and our code reports. And we also have tools for them in AutoCAD and Revit. And then we have our general contractor partners, and Mike was the proving ground for really the baseline for the GC and installer training HercuFit.
Okay, great. Mike, want to talk to us a little bit about being part of that, establishing that baseline and being part of this HercuFit training program?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been quite a journey for us. When we started out on this path, the idea was, let's go to our typical trade base that all the home builders have, that's been proven for years, and let's get them to adapt and do something new. And in theory, you think that the answer would be yes. Why would any company not want to do something innovative and exciting? But what we found out very, very quickly is that the trade base, as it got busier and busier and busier as the market recovered, was less likely to change. So we had to create our own systems and processes. So we actually built installer teams internally to do this work. And we've kind of broken down the traditional process of building a shell in a traditional home. It was mentioned about piecework. Piecework is a dominant, real thing, especially in the Western markets, where trade contractors get paid by some unit, whether it be square foot, linear foot, cubic yard, et cetera, et cetera. But I kind of equivocate that to shopping by the bag. Like, we're going to go to the store, and no matter what is in the bag, you pay the same for the bag. And it's a bit of a broken process. So we completely dismantled that and started to procure materials and labor separate and train our teams to do this system. And what it's yielded is a more secure labor base that sticks with us, because at the end of the day, if you're fighting for the same labor as every other builder and you're treating it the same way, it's tough to compete. The labor market's extremely taxed, and they call the shots, and they're going to name their price. So it insulates us from that dynamic, and we get to enjoy a more stabilized pricing model for labor to put up Hercuwall. So it's a tactic that gives us a more strategic advantage over the typical process in home building.
All right, no, that's very insightful. What I'd be curious is, you mentioned one of the major obstacles you've overcome is how to work with the local trade base and how to kind of build that up so you have this captive audience, if you will. What I'm curious, between the two teams, what other obstacles did you have to overcome in the last 2 years, and that you're willing to share?
It's been a fantastic experience working with SoDella and Mike Mancini. It's always refreshing to find the partner that is willing to do what they say they are going to do. The big lesson is there cannot be just one Mike Mancini. Mike is a trailblazer in the industry and was willing to go make the change happen. Now that Mike has created the path and we have created the HercuFit program, it is time to create that ecosystem in every market Hercuwall goes to. It's all about the ecosystem. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. Please.
Okay. I was going to say, once Mike was deployed, we had to do our best to stay in front of him. We worked on the ecosystem top down, as I talked about earlier, but it was really staying out in front of him and making sure he had the tools he needed to be successful. Beyond that ecosystem obstacle, of course, was the code reports. That really helped clear the path. And as Jason mentioned at the beginning, we have our ICC-ES report, our high velocity hurricane zone ratings, QAI Cirrus report, 1 to 2 hour rated fire assemblies. NFPA 285 and 286, and of course those lab tested STC assemblies.
Yeah, Dennis, the only thing I'd add to that too, and you'll see it, I think in the next phase of this, this broadcast in here is the training center. Anytime you're introducing a new product into a market, change is scary. And let's face it, we don't operate in a space that is quick to adopt innovation quickly. And so with Hercuwall, I mean, it's the one emphasis that we have made is we have to provide that training facility and throughout the entire ecosystem, from the investor to the developer to the architect to the general contractor on how you build, who touches the Hercuwall system, right down to the installers who are putting up that wall. And you got to have the entire playbook in order to go make this thing successful. And that is what's being rolled out with HercuTech, and it's continuing to be. So yeah, we feel great where we're at right now, but we know we got a long ways to go to continue to knock down those barriers.
Yeah, no, I think what you're saying around this idea of the ecosystem is right on. That's why we as an organization exist. We believe that together we can go far. And I think that, what I'd be curious, Mike, from your perspective, if there's other interested parties that want to get engaged, how would you suggest, what's their first step, since you're standing in their shoes, if they want to start looking at using a new system, overcoming some of the challenges out there, what's the first step?
Yeah, I think there's a few different tiers of, quote unquote, interested parties. So, kind of from the top, investors in these big communities, multi-million-dollar investments are looking at durability and effectiveness and reliability in their build process and deliveries and predictability, and saying, hey, we can't just rely on the traditional wood framing model to have a predictable delivery model for our projects. So I think that's one level. The second level are, companies like my company that builds homes, right? Can we build smarter? Can we build better? Can we build with less resources? Can we do things off-site while we're doing things on-site? And can we be more predictable for our customers? And then the third tier is going to be the installer, right? So a company who has an interest in doing something different, doing something better, and making an impact and potentially growing their business might be interested. And so I think all of those start with a call to the HercuTech team to say, tell me about your product. Tell me what it can do for me. Let me tour the factory. Let me understand it. Because those companies need to pull in a whole other group within this ecosystem together. The architects, the engineers, all the people that are surrounding the owners of these projects and putting it together need to be on board, because it's not something you can just switch on during construction. So I think that's where it starts, is the interest level, depending on need, and then a good tour and introduction to the product at the HercuTech plant.
All right, no, that's great. You mentioned, I like the tiered approach there, and I want to touch on that. Jason, or Greg or Ken, maybe you can get to this one for me. I'm wondering, so how much of the interest in your solution is owner driven at the developer level versus teams like Mike's taking it to the developers as an alternative?
Ken, you want to take a stab at it, and I'll add to it?
Yeah, that's a really interesting and great question, Dennis. What I would tell you is when you look at a lot of the activity that's happened over the last 2 years, I would say that it's really driven primarily by the owner and developer looking to build differently and to build better. And then they use their ecosystem to help drive that change throughout their process and their projects, which then ultimately involves getting architects, general contractors, and others interested in Hercuwall. And then inevitably we have basically everybody that's part of their team at one time or another touring our facility to get a better understanding of Hercuwall, how it works, and how it impacts what they do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that, Dennis, too, is I spent 20 years in my career in making block and the masonry side of the business, and there's a desperate need in some trades that they've got to be looking at what they're going to be doing differently. Whether it's too heavy, there's not the amount of workforce and apprenticeship programs that are being set up like there was in the past, and there's just not the interest level. So This is where this panelized construction comes into play. Is existing companies are able to take their workforce, learn something quick and different, be able to continue to grow their business with that, and it's much safer, much quicker to be able to handle that. So we're seeing not only at the investor and developer level, but also just existing trades out there that know that they have to change their business model in order to continue to grow. So there's interest from both sides.
One of the things I keep hearing throughout each of these responses is you're really allowing, your heroes really in allowing people to take control, right? And I think that, control of your business in a variety of different ways. Ken mentioned it from a financial and procurement perspective. We hear it from a labor predictability perspective. Mike mentioned it from just an overall quality of product and delivery side of things. So I think there's a number of different ways in which you're kind of just empowering project owners to get where they want to go, which I think is, real fascinating underlying kind of foundation to this. I don't want to put Mike too much on the spot here, but I do know that you're building a personal residence you're just about wrapping that project up, right? And you've used this system for your home. Want to just talk a little bit about design and buildability and functionality for overall livability with the system as both a builder and a homeowner.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest endorsement of the product is I chose it for my home, for my family, right? So the system speaks for itself, right? It's made out of materials that are more durable. It's made out of concrete and steel. It's super insulated. It's airtight. It's durable, straight, easy to install. All the things that I recognized as a builder, that finally, after building 50,000 houses for other people, decided that I should build one for my family. So the recognition that the system is great is why it's in our home. The design wasn't limited architecturally, so we started with good architectural design and then plugged the HercuTech system into it. So we weren't limited on what we could have in the home, what it could look like, what shape it could be. We worked with the design team to get it designed on the screen. Took a 8-month break because of COVID, because we didn't know what was going to happen, and then put it back on the rails. So it's almost complete. It looks great. It looks great. Feels great, and we're super excited for it. And I'm super excited to be building hundreds of houses for other families, and I know that my family's excited for me to spend a little bit of attention on them.
I always go to what Mike's wife said, when it came to the dust, the termites, the mold, et cetera. And that's what was important to her, Mike. And I love how you sold it to her.
Yeah, she said, please leave me enough money for countertops and flooring, but I don't want bugs, dust, or and guys, honestly, I'm glad that I did, even from a financial perspective. It's ended up saving us money because of the lumber issues and the volatility of the lumber market. The shell of the home was actually more affordable to build than it was with wood.
Yeah. Right on. Well, I want to, we have a few more. I'll invite the audience to throw a few more questions in the queue here, because we do have some more time before we're going to get into a couple other videos. But what I want to stand back a little bit and kind of look at innovation from the perspective of our Alliance community, right? And I just want to kind of get the collective group's thoughts on a couple big points. And I'm happy to let whoever wants to jump in on this first jump in. But the first one's going to be talking about the rise of the super sub. One of the things that we keep hearing in our community is this idea around how do we leverage the concept of a super sub to improve value by de-risking and defragmenting the delivery process. And it seems that, that's supply chain disruption in some ways. It's a labor disruption. I'm curious what you're seeing in the market and what role that you as an individual want to play within the industry to help drive that forward, whether through your solution or through your ecosystems. So I don't know, Mike or Greg, if you want to jump on that one first, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I can speak to it first, Greg, and then I'll kick it over to you. So as far as a super sub, I mean, as a general contractor, we have a little different advantage than a traditional home builder does. So a traditional home builder relies on a trade base to perform a lot of the systems and processes and tasks to build the home. Very little of the home builder operation self-performs anything, right? They rely on traditional subcontractors. So for them to break apart and kind of take a different path is really against the grain and really really kind of a departure from what's been proven over the last 50, 60 years. As a general contractor, we're different, right? We get to buy things directly. We get to stockpile materials. We get to pay for materials in advance on hundreds of homes, where in a home builder operation, you can't, because you have this purchase order assigned to a lot. For us, we have one project, 150 houses, and we know, well, let's go buy all of the rebar necessary for 150 houses. There's a good deal on it today. Go buy it, pay for it, and drop it off on the job site. Those are distinct advantages. So that's kind of led to this change in how we go about it, and has kind of created this internal super sub, if you will, and our tactics to kind of assemble the buildings are different than a lot by lot home builder would be able to achieve.
Okay, so it's something that you certainly, as a result of the way that your organization's set up and what you're able to achieve, it's something that you're building into your business, as you've described. Is it a trend that you see taking place elsewhere?
You know, I know that on the general contractor side, there's a lot of big general contractors that have self-performing internal entities. That's pretty common. On the home builder side, I don't see it a lot, self-performing trades. I know there's some home builders, mainly the ones on the smaller side, maybe privates, not so much publics, that have some of those features and internal facilities. But I think the home builder model is pretty down the fairway. It's pretty common from one company to the other, but in the general contractor side, you certainly see a different way and approach.
Yeah, and well, even on the home builder side, then what about trades that are aggregating services provided? So you have a multifunctional trade coming in, and again, it becomes a one-stop shop for a whole series of scopes versus the one-off scope that they typically would provide. I think that's where on the home builder side, we're seeing more of this.
Yeah, there are companies that have kind of aggregated those services. Some have succeeded, some have not, but and some have done a really good job of keeping it a one-stop shop. We see that in certain markets across the country, not all, but yeah, that's available. And at the end of the day, it's less communication points, but needs to pencil out for the builder. Right. Mm-hmm. And needs to be a quality service level on all of those categories to make sense. So I think it's there. I think it's been available for many years in various levels.
Yeah. The only thing I'd add to that, Dennis, is, I think we are seeing more and more of an interest with these trades that, taking more and more of the building envelope on. And I think how we continue to accelerate that comes from, us as a panelized, wall producer on that. We got to focus on I call them the 4 S's, right? It's speed, it's superior quality, it's the simplicity of what we're providing, and it's improving the safety out there on site. And if we continue to do that off site and be able to deliver products like that on site and make it easier for these trades to be able to, call it vertical integration on their own, take on more of the building envelope, I think you're going to continue to see that happen. Yeah, it is, and I think we're going to continue to see that accelerated in the markets.
Right on. Thanks for adding that, Jason. Greg, anything you want to add, or we covered that?
Absolutely. The way we see it is, regardless if you're a general contractor or a home builder, Hercuwall brings the opportunity to vertically integrate or become that super sub. It's it's that opportunity to perform better and serve your clients better.
Okay. Great. No, I appreciate that. So, standing again, another big picture question. This one's actually from the audience. I want to toss this out. It relates back to kind of corporate ESG strategies and some of what we're hearing around carbon neutrality. So I'm wondering, how will the wall system respond to carbon neutrality in the future with the challenges of concrete as carbon challenge? So I think the wording's a little mixed up there, but you guys get where it's going. Mm-hmm. What role are you playing? If we look at sustainability, we look at ESG goals. Look at climate change. Where's what's the HercuTech Hercuwall system adding value to there?
Yeah, well, I'll take a stab at that. And one thing with the concrete, I think one thing you have to realize is the volume of concrete that goes into our wall system. I'll compare it to an ICF system on a 2,000 square foot home, which volume of concrete there would roughly be anywhere from, call it 30 yards of concrete versus a Hercuwall system anywhere from 7 to 9. So much less volume of concrete being used to get the same strength and output. And then from a carbon standpoint, I would say, at HercuTech, it's really looking at products and materials that we use in our system that are recyclable. It's having that emphasis on a company that, we recycle about 98% of the waste, associated with producing these products. Ken mentioned it. The only thing that we have yet to figure out how to recycle are the trimmings on the WRB and the lunch associated in the facility there. So it's a mindset. We got to continue to figure out ways to build upon what we're already doing. But, I think we're headed down the right path.
Okay. Right on. Right on. Thank you for that answer. I know we only have a little bit of time here before we're going to jump to our next video. So I want to just quickly touch on the build for rent market opportunity that exists out there. And I know the first tour that we took of a HercuTech project with Mike and his team was a development for Paragon in outside of Phoenix, I believe, just 2 years ago. So I'm kind of curious, and this is open to anyone, what type of innovation are you seeing on the BFR segment? So are you seeing more of these advanced systems going into the marketplace because of the repeatable nature of the final product, because of the desire of the project owners to follow along on some of these higher performance, a little bit of higher upfront costs, lower total cost of ownership type of solutions? So I just, I kind of walked down on that one, but I'm just curious, what are you seeing from an innovation perspective? What kind of demands are you getting from your partners?
Yeah, I'll take a stab, and I guess to follow up with everything you mentioned there, yes, on all of that, Dennis. And I think on the build to rent side of it it's at a necessity, right? On this build to rents, they're competing against the production home builders, whether it be for materials or whether it be for labor, and so having to look at things differently is a necessity. The repeatable plan model and what we bring to the table for speed of construction. The labor availability, the versatility in design, the better performing performance of the building once it's up. I think all of those things are what's driving the innovation in this space, and are going to continue to do so.
Yeah, no, right on. We're looking at this as, at the Alliance, our perspective is this has, this market segment has the opportunity to be a real tipping point for innovation across the home building industry as a whole. I'll look at Mike as a former builder and now a general contractor, kind of curious to get his thoughts on what, this statement, and, again, are we at the right moment in time? Is now the chance we have to kind of accelerate adoption of some of these new ideas using a product type like build for rent that requires the velocity and the cycle time that it does, that could then spill over to for sale residential?
Yeah, I think there's a couple driving forces on the build for rent. Obviously, the big driving force is ownership, right? Is the single point of ownership for millions of dollars of real estate on one single property, and maintaining that durable, long-lasting products make a big difference on the operating profitability of those communities. The second thing is direct construction costs. We're experiencing more affordability over the past several months because of the volatility of the lumber market. So we actually can produce a building less expensively with Hercuwall and build substantially better with less labor. So all of a sudden, it's a win-win-win for everybody. We believe that the cost model with a stable lumber market will be cost neutral. That the costs and processes and systems we've put in place with Hercuwall and building buildings out of Hercuwall systems and panelized construction will be neutral to traditional stick-built wood. So at that point, it's just simply a choice. It's not a cost decision. It's a choice on what you want to build. Does it make sense for you to build out of a better system? Does it make sense for you to be able to predictably deliver big projects in a shorter time frame? The answer is usually yes to all of those things. And now cost isn't a hurdle anymore. The only hurdle would be integration in the field, right? So is the labor out there to do it? Have we trained them? Does everybody understand it? Do the trades that touch the system, have they adopted it, and do they like it, and do they feel it's an advantage to their business and help them grow their business? And we're doing really well on that front. We've got trades that are familiar with it now. We've got hundreds of units in the air. We've got thousands of units under construction, and it's making a big dent. So, the path we set on 3 years ago to make a difference, we're on it. We're well into it, and we're making a difference. And we can feel it. We're enjoying it, and we're excited for more.
Yeah, no, right on. I think one of the key elements of what we described earlier too is it's that ecosystem, right? Developing it, maturing that ecosystem, and then having proof points that of projects and teams that have gone through that process. So I think that's a fantastic segue over to a final video that I know the HercuTech team has shared with us that kind of is going to get into some of the other stakeholders. I know, Mike, you're part of that feature as well. It's going to get into the stakeholder groups that have been involved in the decision-making process behind using the HercuTech, the Hercuwall building system. So if we can get that video up and rolling, give you a chance to hear from
just kind of
customer
plagued with this issue, right? That it wants to do it the way that it's always done it.
Yep.
And for us, that's not good enough, right? We're going to do it differently.
Hercuwall is what we've experienced, provides a lot of different unique characteristics. They provide the Title 24 insulation requirements, they provide strength requirements, they meet the flexibility requirements, and they can be used on plethora of projects, including single family, multifamily, 1-story to 5-story buildings. We believe Hercuwall is a phenomenal product that's just going to revolutionize the construction industry.
There are huge benefits that we realize as a developer to use Hercuwall, and those benefits we can very clearly and easily pass down to our tenants.
I mean, we are building it with the thought that it's ours.
Yeah.
If it gets sold, it does. So then you have to look out in the future a little bit farther and say, why are people going to choose my place? Why are they going to stay there? And what benefits do they get? And with your product, I instantly make their bills lower, which everybody is attracted to. But I can also be more creative, have a neater space.
Our opportunity and our business model, the cornerstone of that is really quintessential scale based on predictability. So for us, having cost measures in place where we know we're getting a high quality product that has consistent standards, that is manufactured in a controlled environment, takes a substantial amount of risk out of the quality that we can deliver.
Hercuwall is without a doubt one of the most significant opportunities to change for the better the way we build single-family and multifamily residential constructions. We've worked with them in partnership for several years to refine the process to make it competitive on a cost and on a time scale with conventional construction, but it's going to have a much higher performance. And as consumers and supply chains and trades recognize those benefits, we believe that it'll eventually be a full replacement for timber construction.
All right, right on. So we got a chance to hear from a few members of that ecosystem. So I think we'll get everybody back into the conversation here, bring all the folks back in. All right, welcome back, Greg, Mike, here we go. Fill in the room again. All right, it's easy. Just throw a house party like that, huh? Okay. So we have a few minutes left. I'm gonna again give the audience another chance to throw some questions in the queue. Happy to get to those as they're dropped in. Before we kind of close out though, and we're waiting for a few questions, Jason, I'm kind of curious. So what's the model for your internal model for innovation, and how do you continue to nurture that culture at HercuTech?
Yeah, I mean, it's, innovation is a mindset, right? It's all about the culture that we have established at HercuTech, where, nothing's ever good enough. We're constantly looking at every process that we have, throughout, manufacturing to design to estimating, procurement, everything that we're doing, and knowing that we can get better every day on that. So, at the end of the day, Dennis, without having some written down answer for you, it's every day. Our feet hit the ground in the morning, and as we collaborate within departments and as an organization, is recognizing that we can do it better every day. And we got to push ourselves and think outside the box. And that's really the culture that's been created at HercuTech and is going to continue to live on there.
No, right on. And I prefer the on-rehearsed answer. That's a good one, right? Because that's what's going to drive it. It's to your point. When your feet hit the floor, where's your mind at, right? Mike, and you talked about this a couple of times. And obviously you're an outside the box thinker. What's that model look like at SoDella and the organization you're building?
Well, the organization is built on innovation, right? We are dedicated to building something better than has always been built, and it's not easy, right? So we've spent a lot of energy and time, pushing and never saying that it's good enough the way it was. There's always room for improvement out there. Every day we find new things we can do differently, better, faster, more affordably. And it's just kind of ingrained in our culture. We're a growing team, right? We're still a young business. We're still growing. We've got, 10 times the people we had a year ago. So we're growing fast, but the culture and the values that are in SoDella Construction are the same as they were from the beginning. We're just a lot farther down that road, but we still have a long way to go. And, for us, we're just going to keep on innovating and keep on looking for ways to build smarter until I don't know. I guess there is no end. We just keep on innovating and keep on continually improving to improve the process and add value to our customers.
Yeah, no, right on. And in that note, or on that line of thought, the Housing Innovation Alliance and groups like Dave Cooper Live will continue to beat the drum. We'll go out there, we'll identify, prioritize, and contextualize that innovation as it's happening. And we really both, I know his group and ours, and in fact, first time I met Dave Cooper was when we all toured your facility together 2 years ago. So I know that, since then we've both been able to, our organization's been able to really promote a lot of these different ideas. And I think that's the key. It's finding the right partners. It's being willing to challenge the status quo, because obviously what we're doing isn't working. So we need to do things differently. And I just want to say, thank you to everyone on the call. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules. I know it's hard to find right now, especially with everything flying the way that it is. This is a great message to share with our community and with our industry. And, as a call to action from our side, I would say anyone that's interested in learning more about this particular system, please reach out to the HercuTech team. If you have an idea or opportunity on advanced building technology, please bring it to the Housing Innovation Alliance. We'd be happy to better understand how it fits into the market. And I also want to say thank you to everyone's teams that helped make this happen. I have a great group of wizards behind the scenes that pulled this off today. And I know Gabby from the HercuTech team was involved in that as well. So I want to say thanks to everyone that helped make this happen. And again, gentlemen, thank you for being a part of this today. If there's any final words you'd like to leave our audience or our community with, happy to hear them now.
No, I mean, it's been great, Dennis. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to come in here and spotlight HercuTech, talk about the progress that's taking place. Obviously, we're growing extremely fast and excited about the future. Anybody would like more information on the company, again, encourage you to reach out to us or check out the website, www.hercuwall.com, and look forward to talking to you.
Yeah, all right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah. Thank you, Dennis, for the Alliance team. And Mike, thank you for joining us today. It's been awesome.
Yeah, no, Love the cameo from Mr. Mancini over here. It was a great session, everyone. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please join us on April 20th at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have our Home as a Service deep dive. Be an opportunity to get into what we mean when we talk about building customers for life and how you can extend the relationship with your homeowner or your home buyer, as well as create recurring revenue opportunities. So look forward to that discussion next month. And until then, you guys all have a great rest of the week and take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye, everybody.